Hi friends, and welcome back to A Solo Person's Guide to ADHD. I'm Christine Dunning, a Master Certified Life Coach, a cat enthusiast, and your friendly neighborhood reminder that side hustles can be a great thing. Today, I'm diving into part 3 of our side hustle series. This one's extra juicy. I am counting down my top 15 ADHD-friendly side hustles. The kind of gigs that play nicely with your energy, your need for novelty, and your life as a solo adult. Whether you crave structure, freedom, creativity, or just a reliable way for you to pay for that trip you've got coming up, here's something for you. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's see which side hustle makes your dopamine sparkle. I'm going to start with a few part-time job options. These are great for structure, for social connection, and low decision fatigue. So if you've got the kind of day job where you have a lot of decisions, something like this might be easiest for you. Number 1 would be retail, seasonal, and food work. Think bookstores, craft stores, coffee shops, bars, restaurants, anything along those lines. The pros to these: you've got a clear schedule and simple expectations. Someone else tells you when to show up, and then you just do your work. You have built-in accountability and probably a steady paycheck. It often comes with some kind of perks, some discounts maybe, early access to sales, or free coffee. Now the cons: there can be less flexibility than you're used to. You're tied to a shift. There can be some sensory overload for certain people, noise, unhappy customers, repetitive work. The pay is often capped. And you're often, if you're just doing this part-time, you're probably low on the totem pole, which can bring issues with coworkers or managers. For financial outlay, you might have to get a uniform or comfortable shoes or pay for parking, but that's usually it. The employer should provide almost everything, including training. Number 2, event and catering companies. The pro: this can be very high energy, short-term gigs, perfect for ADHD novelty seekers. Every event is different. You're going into a new venue, dealing with people, menus. Tips here can boost your pay, same with the one above sometimes. Sometimes you get to take home extra food, which is always kind of fun. The cons: they could be kind of long, somewhat more unpredictable hours here. The work can be physical, lots of standing, hauling, lifting, and you'll probably smell like food at the end of the night. Your financial outlay: again, mostly just what you wear. You might need a food handler card in some states, so be aware of that. Number 3, substitute teaching or paraprofessional substitute. The pros: familiar environment if you have some education experience. Flexible scheduling. You can say yes or no by the day. It feeds that dopamine brain through teaching and social interaction. I use my free time, my planning periods, and my lunch to work on my other businesses. And if you have kids at school, this can work really well because the schedules are going to be very similar. Sometimes you can even sub in your own child's school. That does make it sweet. The cons: it requires some kind of certification and background checks. That really varies state by state, so contact your state Department of Education. That's the place to start. Kids. Lots of kids. That can be mentally exhausting if you don't set clear boundaries. And it's definitely seasonal. There's no work in the summers or over breaks. So you have to plan for those downtimes. Again, a financial outlay: sometimes you have to pay for the background check yourself. Sometimes that's paid by the district. You usually do need to pay a fee for your teaching certification. If you don't have an education background, that's okay. You can usually get a substitute certification that just requires a certain amount of education. That's, again, really varies state by state. I know here in Colorado, last I knew, it did require a bachelor's, but I don't think that's true in every state. Next, let's dive into a few of the 1099 or contracting jobs. Now, you're still working for somebody else, but you're on your own terms. And a lot of these are going to require a little bit more of an outlay, either of skill or equipment. So number 4 is rideshare driving. I discussed this in my last episode. Primarily Uber and Lyft, but there are other companies out there as well. Pros, total flexibility. You work when you want. You turn on the app, you're working. You turn it off, you're not working anymore. It's pretty easy entry. A car and a smartphone. If you need a better car, sometimes you can rent a car through the company for use. You can't use just a regular rental car. You do have to rent it, example, through Lyft. Okay. You meet interesting people and become an expert in your area. So, cons, there can be quite a bit of wear and tear on your car, and the income's not always predictable. Sometimes you go out and it's really slow. You need to have some way to track your mileage and gas, although the apps do a certain amount of that for you. Remember, tax write-offs matter here. They really make a difference. Human interaction roulette. Sometimes rides are awkward. Now, I'll be honest, I have over the last 8-9 years here, I've probably done something like 2,000 to 3,000 rides. That's not a huge amount when you consider how many hours there. I can count probably 5 really not pleasant ones on my hand, plenty that were just fine, and some really fun ones. But those nasty ones are not much fun, I must admit. Not driving late night drunks cuts down how many of those you have. We'll say that. You do have to have a clean license. Financial outlay, definitely more here. You do need a good, reliable car. If you really want to make money doing this, I recommend a hybrid or an electric car. I have a Prius. I think that works really well. Must be relatively new and in good shape. How new, that varies per app, so you'll just have to find out. You do need to get yearly inspections. You have to have your own car insurance plus gap insurance. It's not usually too much, but if you can't get it through your own company, you can purchase that through other companies. That covers the time when the app does not cover. The app covers anytime you're on your way to pick up a passenger or you have a passenger in the car. But the time when you're just driving around, if something were to happen, your insurance doesn't cover it, and neither does that. That's where you have to have the gap insurance. It's not terribly expensive. Last time I looked, I think it was $15 or $20 a month. You need car washes, cleaning supplies. Of course, you have to purchase gas, maintenance. You definitely want a phone mount in your car. Now, number 5 is similar, and that's food or package delivery. Think DoorDash, Instacart, Amazon Flex. The pros, you've got the same kind of financial freedom as rideshare, but if you are not really a people person, then this one may be better for you. You'll talk to people a little bit, but you don't need to hold up a conversation. It's perfect for introverts or those who prefer solo work. These can also work with couples or if your kids need to hang out in the back seat. You can't do that with Uber and Lyft for regular rideshare, but I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody doing a food delivery to me, and one person's in the car and one person's running up the food. And you will get through more rides faster if 2 of you are hanging out doing that. Of course, then you're splitting the money. But if you need to, it helps. You can certainly batch rides for better efficiencies. Again, you will have, for the cons, you'll have gas and vehicle maintenance costs. Tips, I think, are a little less reliable here. It can definitely be awkward if parking is a hassle, or lots of steps, or finding the correct house or apartment or dorm room can be challenging. I've only done a little bit of food delivery, but that was a challenge. However, in terms of car, you don't need as nice a car. As long as you've got a reliable car. I don't think there are as many restrictions. Don't swear on that, but I'm pretty sure that's true. Again, that financial outlay, similar cost to rideshare, but with an older car. You don't have to worry about car washes or things like that, although it's nice to have a clean car, just saying. I don't know if you need gap insurance or not. I think that is less likely here, but double check. You might need cooler bags or insulated containers, especially if you're doing food. Number 6, field inspection work. This is companies like WeGoLook, Gigwalk, SoGo Survey. I'm going to be honest, I don't have a lot of experience with this. I've heard of such things. I did a little tiny bit of stuff like this when I was doing the notary work. And by the way, if you are interested in notary work, if that's something that works in your area, it didn't work for me, doesn't mean it won't work for you. This would be a good side hustle with that because it uses similar skills. Basically, what you are doing is you're going someplace, taking some photos, verifying information, and then you move on. You know, it's a really good ADHD mission complete dopamine hit. You set your own route and pace. And again, if you're a notary, this could be a good side service to that. The cons, it's again, we're talking about this need for cars, reliable transportation, and attention to detail. Gigs are probably more sporadic, not as steady. The pay seems to vary widely. I did a little bit of research on this. Again, your financial outlay, car, smartphone data plan, some things you might require a certain amount of safety gear. Number 7, companion or helper gigs. Things like Papa Pals, Care.com, errand services. The pros, this one is great for the extroverts in you. You've got lots of built-in social contact and meaning. Flexible hours and emotionally rewarding work. Basically, you are there to help usually seniors with errands, with companion things. This is not CNA nursing, so you shouldn't be asked to do those sorts of things, but you might have to help if there's a bit of an emergency. Sometimes if you're running errands for people, you can combine their errands with yours. So that's always a nice built-in perk. The cons, emotional labor. Can be draining. Teaching can be like this. I'm sure this is similar. I'm sure you would need background checks here. And the pay is probably pretty modest. Unfortunately, what we pay care workers in this country is not great. And you're probably going to need a car, especially if you're doing things like errands. Number 8, pet and house sitting. Things like Rover, WAG, or House Sitters America. The pros, this is great for pet lovers and a chance for you to get your steps in. House sitting can often be combined with vacations, although it may not pay. If you look back at episode 12, I tell you about my personal experience with Trusted House Sitters. I do some pet sitting abroad, but it's not for pay. But I get a free place to stay, and the pet sitting is kind of fun. There are professional pet sitting, house sitting opportunities, but those are mostly going to be private. Lots of people want to do this, though, so it's better off if you can find people on your own. You're going to make the best money if you can do overnights or bring pets into your own home. The cons, the pay can be pretty variable. Sometimes staying in somebody else's house can be a little odd. Everybody's level of cleanliness is a little different, I learned. You need to be, of course, very reliable. Some animals are difficult. You're still going to have to figure out how to handle them, especially if you're doing it for somebody who's on vacation. It's up to you. Financial outlay shouldn't be much, though. If you're doing a lot of dog walking, good shoes and maybe pet treats. Our last thing is freelance and creative work. These are things where you're not working 1099 for somebody else. You're the boss. So you build it around your own energy, not necessarily around the clock. Number 9, freelance writing and editing. Pros. You can work anytime, anywhere. If you are a middle of the night writer, go for it. If you are a get up at 5 a.m. writer, go for it. ADHD hyperfocus really helps here. You can deep flow in on deadlines, and there's quite a bit of demand. I see freelance writing jobs advertised a lot. Blogs, websites, email marketing. However, the cons, there is a lot of competition, and you need to be able to prove that you've got high-level writing skills. The pay is very low at first, unless you have something you can specialize in that is a high-demand thing, such as technical writing. Inconsistent client flow, fighting for the money sometimes. Requires a good deal of self-management, and you've got to be able to hit deadlines, which can be an issue with people with ADHD. And at these days, you're competing with AI. So a lot of people will turn to AI to write easy things rather than just put that out to a writer. Your financial outlay, you will need some kind of a computer. If you want to be able to be flexible, then get a laptop. You need to have good Wi-Fi. You might want something like Grammarly or Canva Pro, something like that. Again, the pro tip, niche down. Technical writing, anything content specific, things you really know about, and you need to be fast. The faster you are, the more gigs you will get here. And that speed is going to pay off. You can't spend 3 hours honing a 700-word article that's going to pay you 5 cents a word, 3 cents a word. It's not cost effective. Number 10, be a virtual assistant or administrative support. So again, this is not talking about going into a company and doing this. This is doing it on your own. Pros, this can be very high demand, especially for small businesses. And especially if you can target a certain kind of business, such as providing virtual assistants to, I see teachers on Teachers Pay Teachers looking for people like this a lot. People who can help build their products, do the really repetitive work. People who are accountants or things like that to do some of the grunt work. You can use any existing organizational skills or tools you already know, a Google Drive, Canva. The more skills you have, the better your jobs will be. Once you start getting repeat clients, that can be a pretty stable income. And there's plenty of places to advertise, such as on social media, Fiverr, etc. One of the biggest cons, though, is you are competing globally with a lot of contractors who can afford to charge a lot less than we can afford to charge in the United States or even in Western Europe. Some of this work can be very repetitive, and especially if you overbook yourselves. Boundaries matter. Clients can often expect 24/7 availability. Don't let people call you at 3 a.m. unless that's what you like. Again, your financial outlay, you'll need, again, computer and Wi-Fi, software, things like Zoom, Canva, scheduling tools. It's probably good to have a website that lists your stuff. You can do that pretty inexpensively. Number 11, online tutoring or teaching lessons. So again, the pros, it can be very rewarding and it uses an expertise you already have. Again, I've said I teach voice and piano lessons, and I've done that off and on for years. It was actually my first job. I taught piano and guitar. Oh, nobody would have me teach guitar anymore. But I did. I taught piano and guitar when I was 15 years old. It was my first real job outside of babysitting. Really helping people, it's quite the rush when you've got somebody who breaks through. A flexible schedule, especially if you are available nights and weekends, that can really help. If you want to be doing other kinds of online tutoring, sometimes tutoring people in other countries can give you a little bit of a different schedule. The cons, well, you need to figure out how to market yourself or start off by doing work through the lower paying platforms. The money can vary widely. And I'll give you an example that I've seen here locally. There is a music school that has been looking for people to teach piano and guitar and things like that. They pay $20 an hour. I work through a studio and make $70 an hour, of which a portion of which does go back to the studio, but it's not anything close to putting me down to $20 an hour. Really, advanced teachers can significantly charge more than that. I'm comfortable with where I'm charging. But yeah, it can really vary. And it can take a while to find steady clients, and clients come and go. That's the nature of things. And again, like the school teaching, lots of kids. Financial outlays, again, you'll need a computer, headset, some kind of a webcam or Zoom, reliable internet. You might need some kind of a certification, depends on the kind of teaching you're doing. If you have a skill that is in great demand, math, reading, SAT prep, consider not just doing this online, but do it in person. Advertise at local schools. And you can meet people at local libraries. People do that all the time. Number 12, digital product creation. Printables, templates, courses. The pros, it's scalable income once you've built a big enough set of products. It's highly creative. It's perfect for our ADHD brains. It can be pretty passive once you've created the product. You can sell them on Etsy, Gumroad, Teachers Pay Teachers. Stan is another one that's kind of new. Depends on what you are selling. I have a handful of things I sell on Teachers Pay Teachers and a much smaller handful of things I sell on Etsy. I don't make a ton of money, but I don't have a lot of products. And honestly, though, I very rarely do anything. Only if there's a problem, or every once in a while I double check and see if my product needs to be updated. That's it. Other than that, they tell me how much money they're sending me this month, and that's all I have to do. I could make more if I did more advertising, but if you're really looking for passive, lots of upfront time, but it is passive in the end. Cons, it does require a certain amount of design and tech learning curve. Be really careful not to break copyright laws or licensure laws in this. For example, you've written something that goes along with the book. If you give a mouse a cookie, that's a cute little kindergarten book. You can't use that title and you can't use that book by name because all that information is copyright unless you get permission from the author. And good luck with that. It's probably not going to happen. You need to do all of those things before. And these programs are looking for people who are breaking copyright laws, and they'll take you out of there. You also need to be careful about any clip art or things that you're using. By the way, a great place to buy clip art is actually on Teachers Pay Teachers, and they will tell you what you can and cannot use them for. Canva, if you've got a pro Canva account, only some of that can be used in a sold product. It can always be used in a marketing product, but it can't always be used in something you're selling. So if, for example, you're creating a journal, you need to make sure that you're using copywritten materials and not things that other people have created. It's a big thing. It takes a while to build income, getting that product out there and marketing. It doesn't mean effort free, but this is one of the more passive income ideas that does exist, that's real. Financial outlay. You'll probably want Canva Pro or other kinds of design tools. These things really should be at pro level. For instance, you can use PowerPoint, but make sure that you are purchasing the PowerPoint for professionals. Because that's, again, you can't use the cheaper PowerPoint for that. You'll need some kind of flattening tool. Canva provides one with part of their information so that people can't lift off the clip art and things that you're using. You will have a certain amount of listing fees or things like that. And again, you will need to purchase clip art and other design elements. 3 more. Number 13, social media management or content creation. Pros, this can be highly creative and always changing. This is a very ADHD catnip kind of a job. There's a growing demand for people who really can bring authenticity to what they're doing. It's a nice way to combine writing, design, and strategy skills. And this is really a new and growing industry. Some of the cons, algorithms shift constantly. What worked on Instagram this week doesn't work next week. So you're constantly needing to be ahead of that learning curve, especially if you are selling your skill as a social media manager. These can be very time sensitive and deadline heavy. Make sure you can hit deadlines. And it's really easy to blur that line between just having fun and work scrolling. Financial outlay, editing software, Canva or Adobe tools, scheduling apps. Remember, your time in something like this is money. You've got to be able to do things quickly so that you can get yourself going. A pro tip, because this is a fairly new career, start by offering to help out a local nonprofit or a friend's business. Make sure they understand that you're choosing to do it for free, but your time is worth X amount of dollars. That way, when they offer you to other people, they can say, well, she helped me out because she was new, but now that she's a professional, she charges this. Make sure you have that money conversation. Number 14, e-commerce and handmade goods. Think here Etsy, Shopify, print on demand, or even doing craft fairs. Pros, you get to make money from your creativity or hobby. Because of the bigness of the internet, we now can do things within global reach with a much lower overhead than you would have done 20 years ago, say. And you can work on just batching your work on your maker days so that it doesn't overtake your life. The cons, it can be a very saturated market. Remember, you've got an upfront cost for materials and listings. It's really easy to burn out when you realize you have to make 500 sets of earrings. But the biggest thing is that many people underestimate their costs, especially the cost of your time. Your time is worth money. Don't forget to add in things like shipping materials and postage and whatever you're spending on perhaps a website. Those are all big things too. And lastly, number 15, local what I'm calling microservices. All that stuff that you can just make a little extra money at. Babysitting, lawn care, house cleaning, handyman work. The list is pretty endless. Anything that you can do that somebody else doesn't want to do, they might be willing to pay you for it. The pros, some of these are always in demand. People are always looking for good house cleaners and good handyman, for example. They're easy to start because of that. You can really start with word of mouth. You've got some immediate cash flow and, a chance for you to get out and do things. Some of the cons, some of this is physical labor. So if that's not something you're comfortable with or able to do, this one won't work for you. Weather and location may affect your demand. If you really want to make money house cleaning and things like that, it helps to be able to go to an area where people have more finances. Although more and more people, I think, are bringing in somebody, even if it's just once a month. You find it's worth your time. Scaling up beyond yourself can be very difficult after a certain level. So if you want to do this just on the side, that works out really well. Your financial outlay, things like cleaning supplies, tools, insurance, vehicles and gas. One that I would like to mention, pro tip here, families often need help early morning if they have to go to work before their kids have to leave for school. So they need somebody to come in for, say, an hour or so. Get the kids up, get them some breakfast, make sure they've got everything they need, and then drive them to school or get them to the bus. They might need some help on the other end as well. A lot of schools try to pick up this slack, but not everybody wants to do that. If you like kids and you have that time available, check with your local school. You'd be surprised at the number of people who are looking for that kind of help very specifically. And there you have it. 15 ways to earn money without losing your mind or your car keys. If one of these made you think, ooh, I should do that, then that's your sign to give it a try. Last, on episode 21, we're going to wrap up this side hustle series with a deep dive into how to choose the right one for you. So stay tuned. In the meantime, you can find show notes, resources, and links to my favorite side hustle tools over at twocatscoaching.com. And that's also where you can hire me as your life coach. I can help you choose this, get you started, help you with interviews, etc. And don't forget to follow A Solo Person's Guide to ADHD wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please rate and review. If you're looking for some help, call me. Until then, take care of your brilliant creative mind. Give your cat an extra treat for me. Take care.